Hi there, Michelle Marsden of Marsden Accountants. Today I'm going to talk about penalties. Penalties when in the Let Property campaign are a lot different to penalties for the normal self-assessment system. And there are choices. And that's one of the things that really people don't understand about the Let Property campaign system, that there are choices when it comes to the penalties. I think the best way to describe understanding how penalties can impact with the Let Property campaign figures is to give you an example. So I've done a little case study and her name is Jackie. So welcome, Jackie. So Jackie is a landlord, and she was a landlord with her husband or ex-husband now because they're not married anymore. Seems her ex-husband was declaring the rental property for the 6 years they held it, but he forgot to tell her about her half. So yes, so Jackie has found out now because HMRC have written her a letter and said, we believe you've got a property and you haven't been declaring it for the last 6 years. So she's now realised that she needs to declare this rental property. Now, one of the problems we had when Jackie comes to see us is that basically once she's already got a letter from HMRC, so that's classed as a prompted penalty. So that means that penalties start at higher figures because she's been found by HMRC. So that's one of the problems we've got. The second problem we've got is that Jackie's husband has already submitted the accounts for his half of the rental property. So when the accounts are already submitted, there's not a lot we can do at Marston's about changing those figures. So if he, for instance, had missed something that Jackie's paid on behalf of the rental property, we can't really put it in because otherwise the figures won't match up with HMRC. So we have to, I normally put in the accountancy fee because obviously Jackie's paid that, not her husband. But apart from that, it's really hard to change the figures. So we have to put through her the 50% claim that's basically for her property expenses. And then from there on, that's when we have a few things that we can help her with. So Jackie gave us the figures that her husband had submitted. So that's all done for us. So that basically means we don't have to do the income expenditure. With a lot of our clients, when we take them on, we have to do all of that work for them. All right. So in this situation, we don't have to do that work. So it does make it quite a bit cheaper from our point of view because the work is already done. But what we need to do is we need to help Jackie with the interest and penalties. Now, one of the things when preparing our tax return for Jackie, or the figures for Jackie, was that we realised that the mortgage interest relief for the last few years hadn't been claimed. Now, a lot of landlords don't understand how mortgage interest relief works. They know that the Section 24 interest relief is disallowed now, but they don't understand how to make the claim. So when we were looking at Jackie's claim, we realised that she could make the claims for some of the years. So that was really good news. So that helped reduce her tax bill. So Jackie originally thought that she had over £12,000 to pay HMRC, so keep that figure in mind. So we've already reduced it by claiming the mortgage interest relief for her for some of the years at 20%, so that's good news. Jackie was a 40% taxpayer, or that's what she told us when we first came in, but we always like to check these things, so we got some P60s out, and it turns out that one of the years Jackie didn't work all of that year. So actually in that year she had some personal allowances left as well. So in that year she didn't have to pay so much tax. So that helped reduce her tax bill as well. Obviously, I can't change what people have earned in the last 6 years, but what I can do is check that what they've told us is correct. Yeah, sometimes they forget to tell us about other things as well. So, but that's so we help Jackie save some money in that as well. So, so the interest basically is based on the tax that's due. So we've worked out the tax due for Jackie, and then the interest we can't change that. That's based on HMRC rates. But what we can look at is the penalties, and this is where it gets really interesting. Jackie has no experience of the HMRC system, so she just thought, well, it says 100% is the maximum penalty, so 100% is what I'm going to pay. So she had in her mind £5,000 worth of tax, £5,000 worth of penalties, and £2,000 worth of interest. So that's where her £12,000 came in. Now, I looked at her figures and I thought, well, actually, you've only got income here of £12,000 after your expenses. So that seems a bit extreme to me. So we went looking, and that's why I said we found the mortgage interest relief hadn't been claimed properly by Jackie. And we also found that basically she didn't use all her personal allowances one year. The third thing we found is that one of the years she was on the cusp of a 40% taxpayer. So she'd assumed it was all at 40%. But one of those years, her P60 shows that even with the rental income, that part of it was at 20%. So we saved a bit of money there as well. So all these things that we can do because we understand the whole tax system. And then we looked at the penalties. Now, I can't tell you exactly what penalties to claim, to declare to HMRC, but that's what we do advise our clients to do. So we go through and we have a look at the whole situation over the period, because you have to take a lot of things into account with HMRC's penalty. One is the period that's involved. Two is how big the amounts are. You know, if we're talking like £20,000 worth of unpaid tax, or £100,000, there's a bit of a difference in the penalties, yeah. So because it is how much tax has been lost to the exchequer, really. So yeah, so we looked at Jackie's penalties and we thought, no, 100%. She's, you know, she has started to do everything properly now, and she's telling HMRC everything now. So although she will have to pay the higher figures because they got to her, then basically there wasn't as much tax lost as she thought it was going to be. That's for sure. It's not as much tax as HMRC thought it's going to be. So actually, by the time we'd finished, Jackie's tax bill was a lot lower. It's £7,000. That includes all the penalties and all the interest. So we saved her over £5,000 in this. So that's brilliant news from her point of view. And how much does she pay us? That's what you want to know, isn't it? Yeah. Well, our costs vary a lot depending on how much work we have to do. But in this situation, our costs would vary from about £750 for the whole 6-year period. So that's really good value because she saved a lot more than she paid us. And that's what we always aim at Marsden's. If we can save you a lot more than you pay us, then we've done our job really well. So yeah, so it's a time to shine moment, that's for sure. And if you want to know more about how much our fees are, how long it will take, all those sort of questions that we can do, what penalties, etc. This is how we advise our clients, and this is where we save them money. Okay, so yeah, if you want to give us a call, call the office and speak to Chris on 01752 344 582. Don't worry if you're not in Plymouth. Most of our Let Property campaign clients are not in Plymouth anymore. We are all over the country, if not all over the world. We've had a few from other countries as well now that have English properties basically that need to be declared. So don't worry about that. We do everything pretty much by email and Excel and that sort of type stuff. And we can even do it manually as well. We do still do a few manually for people who can't cope with computer systems. So don't worry about that. So give us a call or send us an email, admin, ADMIN, at marslands, marslands.co.uk. Yeah, and we'll be happy to talk to you, give you a quote. We ask you a few questions to get a bit of better idea whether you've got interest, whether you've got repairs, all these sort of things we ask you, and whether you've done the work yourself already. And we can't change the figures, but normally we can find ways of saving you money just because we understand the system. That's all. So yeah, thank you for listening. Time to shine.